This episode is brought to you by Google Gemini. With the Gemini app, you can talk live and have a real-time conversation with an AI assistant. It's great for all kinds of things, like if you want to practice for an upcoming interview, ask for advice on things to do in a new city, or brainstorm creative ideas. And by the way, this script was actually read by Gemini. Download the Gemini app for iOS and Android today. Must be 18 plus to use Gemini Live.
Hey, it's Bill Simmons from the Bill Simmons Podcast here to tell you about Michelob Ultra Courtside. It's getting fans closer to the NBA with a chance to win prizes like courtside seats, a trip to All-Star Weekend, and much more. Check it out at MichelobUltra.com/courtside. Michelob Ultra Superior Access, Courtside 24-25 sweepstakes, no purchase necessary. Open to U.S. residents 21 and up. Begins on October 1st, 2024, ends July 1st, 2025. Multiple entry periods. Visit MichelobUltra.com/courtside for free entry deadlines, and official rules. Message and data rates may apply. Void where prohibited.
Part-time jobs, I'm 100 hour part-time jobs. I've been working Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Working Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. 101
Hello, you're listening to 101 Part-Time Jobs with me, Giles Bidder. It's been a great 2024 for us. We've had some incredible guests, some names that I would have reached out a few years ago if I hadn't have thought that would just be like a silly idea and no one would get back to me. But this is the year that it seems to have ramped up for us. We're an independent music organization. I was going to say publication, but it's a podcast, but it's more than that. We think we have good music taste. We want to celebrate the character and the ideas and exchange of experiences between listeners and bands alike. I hope this place is becoming somewhere that you feel invited to and somewhere that means more than just the music and the silly chat. It's actually about people and communication and community. That's what 101 Part-Time Jobs stands for me. Now, I don't want to get all Grammy speech or too over the top with this stuff, but I just want to say thank you so much for not really saving my life, but it's kind of given me a life. It's given me something to do, and the fact that you're listening to this and we're sharing it together, that means so much to me and my team of Olivia and Nick and Eva and Tom who help out behind the scenes. Here are a couple of highlights from the year. We've got Joe Talbot coming up now. When I asked him about what it was like growing up as a late teenager, going into his early 20s and finding purpose.
I think I'm one of those people that, I'm not very in tune. I am now, but I wasn't very in tune with the causality of my behaviour. So like people are rejecting me, it's because I'm being an asshole. I feel ill and I'm not motivated to do things because I'm treating myself like an asshole. Stuff like that. Like I wouldn't go to the doctors because you know what I mean? Like,
You're a non-doctor person.
I'm not now. I am now a doctor person. I go to the doctors when there's something wrong. But I wasn't then, and I'd ignore all that. And I wasn't frustrated. I was numbing whenever possible because the existential weight was like just ahead. This like rotten carrot that I was walking away from, And you can't walk away from your future. I mean, you can, but that's not an option for me. So it took a lot of mistakes to get to a point, and a lot of broken relationships, toxic relationships, and bad decisions and awful episodes to realize that I needed to stop and build something. Connect. I started the band because I had to connect to the universe. I had to feel. I was terrified. I felt so small and lonely. I couldn't feel lonely anymore. I had to feel a connection to something.
Makes sense. I think we all need connection. I think that's why, I go in and out of reading novels, but when I read a good novel, I feel connected. There is that feeling that you're separate from the world. Maybe you're living in your own little world. Maybe, it's escapism, maybe. But there's connection to that escapism. You feel like you belong. We all need that.
Yeah, I think so. And that's what I wanted to build, is just a place where, like songs visually to me are like a bit like a landscape. After a night, a live show, I just feel like I've had a night, it's like an energy thing that you can't replicate. It's just like everyone in one place. There's a oneness to it, where just for a bit, you're connected and you let go and you feel part of something. It doesn't have to have a word or a phrase or a meaning or a fucking slogan or a t-shirt or anything. It's just this energy that you're in and you know it.
Yeah.
And I fucking love that. That's all I wanted. That's all I needed.
Yeah.
And I think everyone does. I think, like, you know, my dad being like an artist and taught me a lot about creative thinking and drive and what it means to dedicate yourself to something. But I don't know if he's truly, you know, he wouldn't have therapy. And I think everyone could do with therapy. It's like exercise. It's exercising the synapses to create a language within yourself that you speak your own language. Instead of silently trying to understand something, you have a dialogue with yourself, and that takes practice. And like, I think my father's generation, no matter how open and emotionally mature my dad is, I think he's just a good example of someone I look up to, but I still think he needs that connection. We're all still children inside at some level. And when you nurture that child and you speak to it, it empowers you. It's okay. You're okay. You'll be okay. You deserve more than that. You are a good fucking person. Don't listen to them. You're a fucking good person. Get up. You can do it. You are fucking magic. You have magic in you. Believe in yourself. Fuck all them cunts. Because they're all children that aren't listening to themselves either. And deep down, you are fucking magic. And that is something I wish I would have told myself fucking 15 years ago.
Fuck yeah. Right on. It's a good time to... Don't let the name of this person who's written in this question fool you or
Brigadier.
take away from the impact. This question is from I'm Like an Egg on Instagram.
Okay. Same.
Before we get into it, one word, quick answer. How do you like your eggs best? It's a quick answer.
Or how my favourite form of an egg, custard.
What?
You anti-custard, my friend? How would I have it for breakfast, you mean?
Yes.
Okay, Jesus. Fucking... I thought I was being smart, well.
Not here, not on this podcast.
Eggs. Scrambled. That's how I'm having it at the moment.
Bit of milk, bit of butter.
Oh, nah, do you know what? I get really, really hot oil, crack 2 eggs in, and then put this Szechuan chili oil on top. It's fucking banging.
Come on.
Just that and some avocado, because it's good fats. And yeah, I like swanky coffee too. Go fuck yourself.
All right, I'm Like an Egg, open brackets, on hot pan with Szechuan, close brackets, asks, where do you find yourself, it's quite an easy question this, where do you find yourself most at peace in the world?
Lying next to my daughter, in bed, 8 o'clock, she's finally fucking fell asleep. She's recently started allowing me to put my head on her chest. And I hear her heartbeat, which is something very important to me. A child's heartbeat is something very delicate and something that I have seen in a very awful way. So now as a gift, when I hear her heartbeat, I realize how fucking lucky I am. That is my favorite thing in the fucking world. And that's how I feel at peace right now. Otherwise, screaming at Dev.
I've got a good position on our new couch, right in the middle between the cushions. You got the little crack. When I sit there cross-legged and watching some good TV, I feel like I'm on drugs sometimes. I feel like I'm looking down upon do you know that feeling when you're looking down upon yourself?
Yeah.
And everything's all right. You know, you're not too skint, you're not too worried, you're not too... Yeah, I like that feeling.
I love that. That's great. Thank you for sharing.
No, of course.
I found recently, I've got two like heavy pillows that I bought recently. Like heavy pillows. Not memory foam, there's dense fuckers. I stick my head in between them and then put a memory foam pillow on top. And like, I'm literally like, and I love it. I don't know why, I'm like, it's like a Woombic or something, but I like that. Also, I like saunas. Saunas is one of my favourite things.
Yeah. KNEECAP have had an incredible year. Their debut album Fine Art came out, set in the fictitious Ruts pub, and they put out a jaw-dropping movie. Here we are talking about the cornerstones of what makes a good pub and how Ireland is often seen with a bit of a skewed perspective. The Ruts, the pub where it's set, where you go in on track one and you enter this night out at the Ruts, the pub. It's got me thinking about what makes my favourite pub. And for me, it's somewhere that's a bit hairy, it's a bit scary.
Yes.
You know, it could be on sort of first impression a bit aggy, but quite often those aggy places turn out to be quite friendly if you say hi and shake a couple of hands and smile and that.
Yeah, you should be a bit scared to go into the pub in your initial entrance to the pub.
It's a good idea. It's a good one. What's your favourite? What are your kind of favourite part? What are your favourite kind of
indicators of a good pub? Alcoholics.
Alcoholics.
That's a good Alcoholics don't drink in shit pubs.
Yeah.
You know, if you drink in pubs that have good pints, you know, an alcoholic isn't going to waste his fucking money on a shit pint.
I feel like a good snug.
I love a snug. You don't have snugs in England, really?
Is this not a snug?
No, it's just not a snug, for fuck's sake. It'll have like a wee tiny door and it's kind of closed door.
It's all closed in. It's amazing.
It's an actual closed door. It's not even like
they get like a wee like saloon kind of closed door, and it's like closed, it'll be cornered here, and it's literally just a wee. So they're not that often. You don't get them that often anymore.
They're not as common.
But they're the job. A wee snug.
Good traditional music.
Like, yeah, good paints, good tunes, and like
Alcoholics.
Alcoholics is also is the main one.
I've kind of gone in and out of going to my locals because I find I have the same conversation with the same people.
That's what I love about it.
How'd you get over that?
I love that.
The monogamy.
Let him have his moment. You know what I mean? We've all been caught in the fucking loop when we've had a few drinks.
Yeah.
This fella's just been caught in the loop for 40 years. Just let him have it.
Sometimes you just want, it's like reality TV, just want the same thing over and over again.
Have you worked behind the bar?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I worked for years behind the bar, so did he.
Yeah.
How was it? What are the most memorable situations?
Like sitting with like 7 alcoholics, and we were watching, I think it was me and Marley, and I was working from 12 o'clock in the day, and it was just 6 of us, and just me and Marley's at the movie with the dog who dies.
I think it's Marley and me.
Marley and me, sorry.
Me and Marley's the one about the joyride in Belfast.
Oh no, Marley and me about the Labrador fella, and
Owen Wilson.
Wow, that was my favourite, watching a movie with the boys.
That's nice.
Yeah, it was cute.
I worked at Madden's Bar. It's like the hub for like Irish traditional music in Belfast, and it's like fucking bizarrely good musicians play there every Friday, Saturday, most days of the week, but Friday and Saturday in particular upstairs. And that was the bar I worked at, so I'd be like serving my mates pints basically and just listening to like fucking quality Irish traditional music.
No free pints from him anyway.
you tight?
Yeah, he's tight. Jeez.
Dead in my bollocks. Them cunts were spout rotten. Sorry, Bomber.
I remember working up in our GA club, Dolan's, and we had the keys and we were supposed to lock up, and we used to lift the boxes of WKD.
Legend.
Leave them down behind the fence and collect them later on.
Did you work
Just put myself in the.
Me and Ollie, the film we worked
there.
together at the pub. Didn't have many mates at the time. My friends were moving away, and I went to this pub and met Ollie and a couple of our other friends. And it was just sweet.
Say hello to the folks, Ollie. Come on, don't be shy.
He's the man behind the camera.
And it was just nice. And they all thought I was shit at my job. I'd smash glasses a lot. But what I gave
That is an indicator.
That's just Greek.
I was doing table service.
Hooters.
Behind the bar's way better.
Tits and teeth, guys. Tits and teeth.
Dirty teeth and tits.
Nice one. Thank you very much, KNEECAP.
Was that it?
101 part-time jobs. I mean, we probably got a little bit of time left, but I feel like you've had a long day.
We have.
I'm happy not having a swallow. I don't mind.
Yeah.
I tried doing sperm bank for some cash. but they
No one wanted your sperm.
Change the currency.
Sperm bank.
I missed the pot.
They were bailed out.
Went over it.
Did they supply you with
You missed the pot.
Yeah.
Did they supply you with
Why'd you
material?
come over the
Yeah,
seat?
it's a touch screen
It's
in-house Pornhub.
Well, I know.
Well, I thought it was why it's touch screen. That's gross. That's the worst part about it.
That was
Did
the
you-
grossest part. No,
You
So,
did?
you-
Were you paid for it?
No,
you missed the tube.
I didn't go for it. So they make the process.
Did you just go in?
you missed the tube.
So hold on. You went in the sperm bank, had a wank, and didn't even collect it and left?
Correct.
Nice.
That is fucking...
Self-indulgent.
What did you watch?
I thought I was going to get paid, but I did it. They make the process because if everyone would get paid 50 quid a go, everyone would be down there doing the same thing.
Where is this?
London Bridge.
No,
again.
F.
It's all at London Bridge.
Just underneath the bridge.
But I
Anyone know
called
the bridges falling down?
I called my family on the way back, and I thought, I've just done this. It's a great way to make 25 quid. I lost my job last week, and they were like, well, you got to be careful because when the kid is 18, they can find out who you are. So that shook me.
And he'll take all your
So
money.
I didn't go back, and you only get paid if you go back. The sort of the third time for the official signing of everything.
For the third wank?
But this is all. It wouldn't have happened anyway because I missed the pot. The pot was only kind of that wide.
So you have
It
to.
just flew
Is
over.
that, that should,
Go
they should
ahead,
make,
big fella.
They should make waiter
Big Ron
pots.
Jeremy.
But this isn't about me. Work fuck ups. Have you got some memorable mistakes? in the
I
workplace?
can-
I've never wanked in the tube.
I used to keep bees.
He's a beekeeper.
I'm a qualified beekeeper.
No.
I swear to fuck.
Yeah.
I can keep bees in any country in the world.
How have we been
Any
talking for
inv-
45 minutes and you haven't mentioned this?
No,
Work
he's
fuck
right. He's
ups.
humble. He's humble.
I got stung.
He's Bumble.
He's Bumble. Yeah, I done a 12-week course and I've got my certificate and everything. I had 2 beehives for a while.
You had the big
Shared them with people like
What got you into it?
pollen. No, I fucking I had a job for I was working somebody else's job while they'd done a PhD and they were just giving me the money because they wanted to do a PhD but keep their job at the same time, and their job was essentially going around planting flowers. So I was going about planting flowers for 6 months.
Whoa.
Anything for a buzz.
Just going into I was just going into roundabouts basically and planting fucking native flowers for about 6 months.
That's not a bad gig.
Not bad. And then obviously it came hand in hand. Then
Came home.
me and Giles came hand in hand.
Yeah. Do they give you do they test your spunk and see if you have a quality spunk or anything?
They didn't even get a chance to get it.
Do you have to present what you do as a person?
Did you just wipe it off the floor?
I did, yeah. Got on my hands and knees.
Whoa.
How did you get it on your hands and your knees?
It's quite undignifying. I don't know why I'm telling you.
Yeah, it's pretty, you're not just telling us, Giles.
I'm telling the crew.
One last question about the sperm bank.
Yeah.
So if you apply,
Is there a bureau de change?
if you apply for it, do they just is there millions? There's millions of bits of sperm in your spunk, isn't there?
Well, that's what it is.
Yeah. So can they just hand it out to everyone, and then you have
You get one each.
1,000 kids?
Could be.
You get 1 cell each.
But they're probably more specific than that. They probably keep it in they probably have one person who's looking to get their egg.
Or they come and they look at a
Fertilised.
photo of
You're
you.
Walt
Like,
Disney.
do you want your son?
Yeah.
Do you want your son to look like Giles? And then they kind of go,
Oh, yes.
yes.
It's like Tinder.
Maybe.
It's not a bad idea,
Whoa, that's fucking bizarre.
If you had to start a business, if you had to start a company,
I would start a car park. Easy money.
You get
car
money
park.
for fuck
Holy
all.
hell. People, the car park down in Belfast, £6 an hour.
did you read about that guy who was charging people to park there somewhere in the States? And
No.
he's made a living for 30 years.
You didn't even own it.
Didn't own it. Didn't own the land. Yeah.
What a legend.
Uh-huh.
There's a guy actually in Kerry in Ireland that sells Irish air to Americans in a jar. Also,
that's a good idea.
there's
You
another
lot are missing a trick.
No, there's another fella.
Leprechaun
He
juice.
has a couple of acres, and what he does is he carves out like a beer mat square
Oh, yeah. So is that.
and sells that to Americans. Buy your own bit of Ireland.
Irish soil.
And the Yanks love it.
Genius.
They're all buying squares that size so that they own land in Ireland. It's genius.
What was it like going on tour in the States? I bet you had loads of people coming up to you being like, I'm 4th generation Irish.
Yeah. See what you guys are doing for my culture. Yeah, I mean there was plenty of good stuff as well, but the shame is that Irish Americans, there's a lot of conservatism with Irish Americans nowadays. We are a nation of immigrants. We have emigrated probably more than any other country in the world. We go everywhere. We always have. And then you get a lot, not all Irish Americans, Jesus, a lot of them understand their history, but you get plenty of Irish Americans who are anti-immigration, and which is fucking bizarre sentence in itself. But the difference between the Irish Americans and the black community in America was, you know, the Irish were white. The Irish were able to join the police and the military and rise through the ranks that way and politically get a foothold in politics in America that the black community wasn't really granted at that time. So now, like, when you go to any state in the fucking country, it's like Murphy is the chief, you know, shit like that. And it became then, you know, once the oppressed became the oppressor in certain places, unfortunately, when, you know, they forget their history is that, you know, we were second-class citizens in our own country for a long time.
And I think, especially in America, there's a big misconception of what Ireland is like, because we have these like recycled movies, like recycled Irish culture that comes from America. So you have, I don't know if you've seen the movie Irish Wish recently, or like The Wild Mountain Thyme. It's these like movies about Ireland. We're all living in thatched cottages and we're all like dancing around a bowl of stew.
I wish.
And
That's what I love about KNEECAP. Hearing these kinds of stories is that there's an equal part like serious and somber and you know, needs to pay attention to, and there's also party. There's also laughter and humour. That's what's such special about KNEECAP.
Yeah, I think what's important to us as well is that now we're doing these tunes and we're like calling ourselves Fenians and we're like making tunes about our history. You know, we're not trying to be the fucking victims our whole lives. You know, we were victimized for a long fucking time and now we're reclaiming our culture back and, you know, fucking reclaiming that power again. That nobody wants to be a victim forever. So we make light of it. We talk about serious subjects, but in a manner that's, you know, bit of crack.
Here's Aurora on the importance of being active and communicative with friends and family and those around you, looking forward to a better world.
The small basic needs of human contentness, just to have a home, a house, food, is so out of reach for people. Just something really obvious and simple that could make us all so happy if we accepted it. But also being human in itself is very hard. With, you know, there's a lot of things going on in our silly heads. It makes it hard to be us. But outside of that, I mean, even human contentness is so far away, which is truly heartbreaking. And so many people now don't even know if they'll ever be able to stop working or waste life in an office that they don't enjoy, with colleagues they don't feel at home with, to ever own a house or be able to have like, it's interesting how young people now are worrying about things like this in a different way than before. And then they dream of big meaningless things, like being super rich or super famous or super pretty. And that's also so out of reach that it just makes us even more happy. Like, it's a weird, it's weird for people to live now. But I think we can feel, like you said, something is a bit off, something is a bit wrong. Life on earth isn't complete. It sounds very like spiritual, but it isn't. We've killed so many species. I think we feel it somewhere. We must. No? That just, somewhere something is just off. And I believe it can be fixed. But then we need someone to tell us, apparently. We don't have the ideas on our own. So we need someone or something to tell us that we have to reconnect to ourselves, food, animals, earth, these simple, beautiful things that makes life so worth it. Yeah, no. I'm really confused by the times because I have such empathy for everyone because it's so hard. But also I'm so disappointed in people as well, that we're so passive when people need us. But it's hard. It's hard. But I am hopeful. I wouldn't ask the question if I didn't think it had any use. So I only asked the question, what happened to the heart, because I believe that people have what is needed in here to fix whatever we need to fix.
Yeah. What are the things in life that make you feel closest to that idea of things will get better, things can get better?
I feel like our phones gives us a chance to see everything very big, things very far away, people in big numbers, not names, which makes kind of everything seem more out of reach to even change, if that makes sense. But then I feel very hopeful when I look at things in the small, because it's all the small things that is the whole purpose of life, I think. When you meet people and they smile to you, just like a kid who for a moment don't know where his mother is, and you see him like the panic, and then you see his face change when he sees her again, and just how desperately happy they are to see the parent that they see every day. Just the love we have for each other is quite a beautiful thing. And the way people do help when they see it here and now, there is a lot of beauty in us. We are a beautiful species. But it's like we started rewarding people who cheat their way up and people who lie, instead of rewarding people who are truthful. And then I think that's where the problem really started, when we picked the wrong people to be at the top. Or I don't know if we picked them or if they claimed it, but yeah, for many years, like even just royalty fucked people over for so many hundreds of years. And it's very sad that it's the unbalance between the people and the leaders, and that the people think they don't have the power to affect, when it's all the power is in our very hands.
But it makes me think that sometimes we get a way to live positively is to surround yourself with good people, which is harder for other people than it is for some.
It's very true.
But it is something to think about every day. Even pets. I like snuggling with my cat, and he makes me feel like the world can be a better place. And
Yeah.
it's silly.
But it's true. It's so true. Like warm bread, when the butter melts and everything. My God.
Yeah.
It creates there's something magical about it. Like humans have eaten that forever, you know. It's so cool. I fucking love bread. But it's it's about the small things, and I think our phones make us very aware of like the big things and fame, and it makes us forget about all the magic that is like close at hand. And we believe our hands are empty, but they're so full that we don't see it. But yeah.
Do you ever look at your hands sometimes and think, whoa, this is strange. Your hands look strange.
I think about it all the time. I wish, I think it's weird with hands that they can be the most soft thing, like in touch. They can be so soft and so sensual, so beautiful. They can play piano, music, make such beautiful things, but still be so hard and so crude as well, so strong. I like to boulder, and I get amazed by my soft, weak piano hands, what they can do when you're scared, terrified. I'm very scared of bouldering, but I like it. Yes, I climb like that, like a cat. I don't even touch the stones. I just hover my way up the wall. No, it's fascinating. We are very full of juxtapositions as creatures. So I understand why we're so confused. But people is my favorite part of the job. Has become with the years.
You must have lots of people messaging and asking you for advice, life advice, romantic advice, just the kind of advice that they don't know where to. They look to you, they look to your music, they look to your language. Is it easy for you to give people advice? Is that something that you feel comfortable doing?
Good way to phrase your question. Because yes, it is easy, but I don't always feel comfortable doing it. Because I think when your word has a certain amount of power, it is very important to be aware of how you use it. So, and sometimes when people think they want advice, what they also just want is to be heard. And the advice doesn't really matter. But it's just to have a space to pour something out of yourself with someone who you trust. Because I feel like my warriors really trust me when we meet, and I trust them as well. It's kind of cool, actually.
I've got a couple more questions. One of them's very important. If there is someone out there who is getting a cat or a dog and doesn't know what to name them, do you have any recommendations for them?
I would go with Igor Septimus or Shiriam or Denue, maybe, or like Piss. Yeah.
Yeah.
I always think that if I was a superhero, I would be Piss Girl. And my superpower would just be pissing myself to save the world. Sorry, I'm trying. Yeah, that would be my thing. What would be your thing?
My thing.
Piss boy?
Piss boy. Yeah, poop boy.
Poop boy, piss girl.
Or like big ears. I feel as a kid I had quite big ears. And I feel
have big ears.
It's a sign of wealth and strength and prosperity, potentially.
Thank God. Thank the gods.
We would be ear boy, ear girl.
Yeah, ear boy and ear girl. Disgusting.
Gross.
Those words tastes just the worst in ear girl. Ugh. But it's kind of like eagle, so it's kind of cool again.
The eagles.
You at home who is listening, please donate to Piss Girl on pissgirl.com/piss.
I think that might have already been taken on OnlyFans.
Oh, fuck.
Blossoms on splitting their songwriter credits equally and the importance of their friendship carrying on this year with the #1 album, Gary. Do you think guitars have songs in them?
Yeah, 100%. I've had that.
Don't fucking ask
me. On our
me.
new album, there's a song called Big Star, which was written on a guitar that the lads got me for my 30th, which is like a really nice vintage Epiphone guitar.
That is so sweet that you got him a guitar.
Is
for his
it?
30th.
Do you know what? The one thing I really like about our band is we always buy each other presents every birthday.
That's nice.
Even if it's just a voucher. Do you know what, you're 30, we've got Noel Gallagher signed an acoustic for you once.
Yeah.
I sorted that out.
Do you know, it's good that you don't hate each other. Because you'd understand how people do get to hate each other.
Yeah. Do you know what, I think that you might have unlocked the secret there to
presents.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Get each other presents at Christmas and birthdays.
But going back to your question, I do think songs are hidden in instruments.
Yeah.
Not necessarily just guitars, like keyboards as well.
You got a piano in your house, didn't you? And keyboard and all that.
You sit down and like you just go places that you didn't expect to go.
Yeah, because your hands will tend to fall in the same places on certain instruments, I think. And even just changing the sound on an instrument then makes you hear that chord differently. I know that's going to sound weird and a bit like... But I've been like that from the start, really.
So what about, when...
Back in the day, I used I remember when I first started writing songs for Blossoms and stuff, I'd write on the acoustic like you would just in your bedroom or back room. And then I brought the Casio keyboard that I learnt like from when I was like 12 downstairs, and it's got like 100 inbuilt sounds.
You've kicked that keyboard.
And then I wrote Charlemagne on that.
You
Do know what I
kicked
mean?
that keyboard at me once.
I did when we were playing FIFA.
I beat you.
You wrote Charlemagne on that?
Yeah.
Do you remember?
And the guitar. So often I'll write with a guitar and the keyboard. So I'm kind of flitting between the two, if you know what I mean.
What I find mad, sorry to interject, but I find mad because I remember when we got that guitar from James, the acoustic.
Oh, the other one.
The Gibson acoustic. Yeah, the other one. You wrote Blown Rose on that.
Yeah.
Now, James tried to write on that tune before. Do you think
On
that
that guitar?
Jay just... Yeah, sorry. Do you think Jay just couldn't get that song?
No, he's probably...
I feel like I'm interviewing you now, so I'm liking this.
Please do.
I don't know, maybe, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Well, I guess the neck of a guitar, that is always going to be quite particular to the shape of your hands. That's got to be something about it.
Yeah.
And like the way it feels with you.
100%.
I know, I'm not like a great guitarist, but I can feel like a great guitarist with the right guitar.
Yeah, and different sounds they make, I think, more so. Less so the way it feels, maybe. It's what you're plugging it into. Like that electric you got me. It's kind of got like a gnarly sound to it.
Yeah,
so it makes you play.
There's something about some of the pots are like the opposite way around and stuff.
Yeah,
like
it's
that,
just kind of got like a
vibe.
fucked old sound.
Yeah,
so
it's
that's
mint.
kind of where that song Big Star came from. I would never have wrote that on like an acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I learned a bar chord the other day. I'm really still.
Come
I say the other day, right? It's probably been saying that for like 2 years now.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an interesting point because your job's up to play music.
Yeah.
You're songwriters. That's at like the core of everything you do. Do you sit down and like that's the thing? You can't help but take the piss out of it. The idea of
songwriter.
Yeah, exactly. You probably throw me under a bus.
Sorry.
But picking up a guitar and knowing that's like the thing that you do, that you spend that's what you get paid for. That's what we know you for. Has that changed your relationship with instruments over the years?
Well, I think first of all, I've never picked up a guitar and gone, I'm going to write a tune, obviously, because Tom writes the tunes. But I have sat back. I'm really conscious. I've got ADHD 100%. I'm not diagnosed, but 100% got it. I'm terrified of sitting behind a kit one day and being bored of sitting behind a drum kit. Do you know what I mean? Because when I get bored of something, that's
It's
it.
exciting to you still.
Yeah. Now when I sit behind a kit and we're in the room, I buzz off it and I'm like, I can't wait to rehearse or I can't wait to do this or that.
Even
or
if you're playing the song that you've played 50.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Charlemagne
before.
doesn't matter. I could still buzz off it and play it and have good fun doing it.
That's cool.
But I'm also terrified of that becoming really boring. Do you know what I mean? And like, because when things become boring, so I have a big effort to every time I sit behind a kit, it's because I have to sit. Do you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't go home, get the drum kit out, and start just like noodling, even if I wanted to. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I might start a bit, and I don't really do that in the rehearsal room. But I think mainly I don't do that in the rehearsal room because it's annoying for everyone
Drums
else.
are loud, aren't they? So everyone's always like,
Is that like these?
just wait.
How many memes is there? Do you know what I mean? Where like all guitarists are going meh, and the drummer goes poof. It's like, oh god, it's so loud. It's like, shut up. But it is interesting. I think the loudest in our room is Josh, 100%.
Well,
His guitars are so loud, and then
Charlie's bass is loud
I play something, and everyone's like, "Oh, shut up with that." It's like,
And you'll come to the practice room, Tom, and it'll be like, "This is the skeleton of the tune."
Yeah. This is Often I'll send them a voice. I put them into my voice notes as I'm writing them, and if it's something I think's good, I'll send it to them beforehand on like, just on like iMessage on the group chat.
And like some of these tunes go back. You were saying the Perfect Me. You wrote that a couple of years ago.
No, Perfect Me was. We actually weirdly kind of wrote that together in the rehearsal room.
yeah, I was like one of the only. That happens every now and then.
Yeah,
it's very,
very
rare,
rare.
but it does
So
happen.
it sounds like it, doesn't it?
Yeah, there's like an energy to it, which was like,
It's immediate.
yeah, that was kind of just us reacting, and then I went away and then wrote the words to it. But the music and everything was kind of written together around this like keyboard that Josh was messing around with. But often that's not the way it would be done. It'd be I'd write it at home, then send the voice memo, and then often I've kind of got like influences of what I've been listening to, or I've put a beat behind it, just so I've got something to jam off. And often I'll write over a beat as well. So then I'll be like, oh, this is kind of what I'm hearing, and then make it your own kind of thing.
It's quite an adult relationship thing, I think, to know your place in a band.
Yeah,
And to know your role and
Yeah,
to bring
100%.
yourself to it.
I sorted the pensions out. Do you know what I mean? So,
Because they're all like it's all self-defined stuff.
do you know what? I feel like it's. And especially how long we've been a band for like over 10 years. Do you know what I mean? It's like you just know. I don't know. You know.
Can't really,
you know
you've
the
got to leave
dynamic.
egos behind, haven't you?
Yeah,
As well. It's not. You
100%.
can't come into it.
Like I know I I mean, I just wouldn't write a tune. I just know I just don't have that talent. Do you know what I mean?
I think
Tom is talented in that way.
I think everyone has the bands set up different ways. Like
100%.
Like I split everything, like in terms of songwriting.
In terms of credits?
Yeah. The money, yeah.
The publishing.
If we're going, we might as well talk about it.
Yeah, talk open.
If you're up for it.
Yeah, it's well nicer, yeah.
Because a lot of people, well, I don't know because I don't speak to that many people in bands, but I know they don't. Do you know what I mean? I know.
Yeah.
No, it's not a done thing, if you know what I mean, because arguably you do more, don't you? Because you're writing the songs. Do you know what I mean? But from the start, I was like, no, it's the band. We're in it together. I'm splitting it. Like all the bands I looked up to who lasted the longest seem to be doing that. I think
Foo
it was
Fighters. Dave Grohl does that, doesn't he?
Yeah, Coldplay, U2. They were like kind of bit. I don't know. From being a 19-year-old lad who wrote songs, looking at these other acts, I was like, yeah, I'm not doing this to like make loads of money or anything like that. It was kind of like we're in it together. Do you know what I mean? So that, I think, going back to them, when you're now writing songs, no one's going, oh, well, I'm not going to get fucking 14% of this because do you know what I mean? It doesn't matter what part you've come up with. Everything's the same.
I think that's helped.
That helps. I
think that helps creatively in other ways. Like you were saying, then sometimes when sat in the room doing Perfect Me, for example. Do you know what I mean? Every now and then someone would be like, oh, Tom might come to us and go, oh, I'm struggling with just this tiny bit. Then I've got a lyric. Do you know what I mean? For example, like Charlie came up with a pilot light thing. Like, do you know what I mean? That every now and then, and I think that being stripped away from it helps creativity. Do you know what I mean? Because if you're thinking that isn't there, you could be trying to crowbar stuff in, or then Tom being like, oh, I don't want to ask them because it's just a wit.
You can see how people would want to do things because they're like, oh, I need to make my impression on this. I need to make my 25% worth it.
Yeah, like, I can't imagine working like that because we've never done it. So we're just luckily we're like over communicate and anything go, and do you know what I mean, put your idea on, but if it doesn't serve the song, we just move on. Or if I've come with like 95% of it like mapped out in my head and I'm like, this is how it should go, like, or I've wrote this over this drum machine drum beat, and you're like, and I'm like, but it needs that beat. Do you know what I mean? You're like, yeah, cool, like whatever suits the song. Like there's no egos left behind. I think in doing that you take that awkwardness away, I think.
And here's Lauren Mayberry from CHVRCHES, now released her debut solo album. She told us about early years before CHVRCHES when she played drums in a band, growing up in and around Glasgow, and the perhaps neurotic feeling that comes with being a band that's becoming successful.
We're very lucky. Like, we've been really lucky with that since like the start. I think it was just that specific moment in time. Like, we were like SoundCloud hype machine type era. And then we were selling tickets before we were signed. And I don't really even know, so much of it was word of mouth and then blogs. The reason that we still like have very good tickets now is because of people investing in it. I don't, you know, like without that, like people really invested in it as like an albums band, as like a culture, as you say, rather than, there's definitely bands I know who have had the big single, but I don't know that they have that around it. And I'm quite great. I'm very grateful that we don't. I would rather people be like, oh, they've never had a smash, but they quietly have had loads of these things, and like that feels like a more sustainable, comfortable place to be for me.
And it's like kind of it's like the opposite end of the spectrum of TikTok songs. And like you can have TikTok songs that are awesome.
And sometimes it translates and they go off.
Yeah. Sparky Deathcap from Los Campesinos.
Yeah, pretty cool that like. I do like that it doesn't necessarily need to be anything new. Like I feel like everything else is geared to like new. But like a random song can kick off on TikTok. Like Cranberries, massive on TikTok. Yeah. Like there's just certain things. It's just about a song being good or catching people's attention. But hard to know sometimes how that translates. There's a lot of cat content out there, man. I get a lot of it.
You got 2 cats?
I do have 2 cats.
Rescued?
Yes, thank you for remembering this.
What are their names?
They're Poppy and Cactus.
Here we go.
And I like that they don't. Sometimes I'll just be sitting looking at them and I'm like, first of all, you don't know what music is, really. You don't know what outside is. You don't know. And then I'm like, wow, just blowing through. I'm like, you don't know that people on podcasts talk about you. You probably wouldn't like it very much. Cats wouldn't like that. They'd be like, don't be nosy. And
Mr. Pickles has no idea.
Mr. Pickles.
He has no idea that this morning, right now I'm talking about this morning, him waking me up, and he's like biting my ear, and you can't hate it. You can't. I do not like being woken up. It's one of my least. It's up there.
But by Mr. Pickles.
But Mr. Pickles,
you'll allow it.
Very happy for it.
Yeah, well, there was a horrible week on my algorithm where I kept getting videos of like cats and dogs doing cute things with like a sad song over it, being like, every time that you're annoyed at them for chewing the thing, think about the fact that their time on earth is so fleeting. And I was like, oh no, I already think about that. I don't need to be reminded of that.
It's when you get the purr and the slow eyes.
I love the slow eyes. That's my first protocol with a new cat.
Do you carry them?
Give the blinks. Depends. Cactus is much more cuddly, malleable, like most of the time, but doesn't really like being picked up. Whereas
got to respect it.
Whereas Poppy weirdly will allow you to pick her up if you pick her up kind of like a fancy waiter holds a like a tea towel sort of. She likes the full support under the belly, spine straight, not upwards, and that she enjoys it that way. So I'm like, all right.
That's the safe way.
I must curate it to exactly what they want.
Talking about being a cat waiter, have you ever been a waiter?
I have been a waiter.
How was it?
I don't know if I was great at it, but yeah, well, I've done waitressing jobs, bar jobs, kitchen porter jobs, coffee shop jobs.
The kitchen porter ones are hard because it makes you realise how much food stinks. When it's all left over and you've got 20 different dishes, it really smells like putrid.
And it was a kitchen porter in a fish restaurant in Callander in Scotland, so it's and then I upgraded to waitress, but there's nothing. I feel like there's nothing, no tiredness quite like the physical tiredness of finishing like a waitressing shift. Like it just is a different kind of thing. And then getting in the shower and being like, I'm reactivating this fishy smell when the water hits. So
working at the supermarket, I always felt for the few people on the fish counter because, you know, it's not mean. I'm not being mean, but the people who work on fish counters, they do smell of fish.
I was 2 years. I smelled pretty fishy. I don't know.
Would you come home from the work on those shifts, and because working at somewhere like that is such a like isolated environment, you know, like when you finish work, you know, you don't really, unless you've got a mean boss or some kind of not very nice relationship, you don't take it home with you. You know what I mean? Did you? Yeah. What was your experience with that?
Well, I was talking to a friend about this recently who works in live events, and we were reminiscing about like when we used to work in hospitality and things like that, and we were saying it is kind of similar to putting on a gig almost, because every night you gear up for the gig and it's got to be done tonight, and the gig must happen, the show must go on, and at the end of it you're like, whew, we got through it, that was good, and then tomorrow you're going to do it all again. And I was like, whoa, do we like this kind of like free fall experience? But yeah, there's no camaraderie quite like those jobs, I don't think, like, because everybody's just like mucking in to get it done. And like,
did you see The Bear?
I did see The Bear.
It's good TV.
Yes. And it was interesting. I watched it with my boyfriend who's never done restaurant jobs. He's done other jobs, but not that. And I was like, you're not understanding the anxiety. The checks are coming through too quickly. Like, they have to fix the system.
You got to look your ego straight in. You got to look your ego straight in the eye with that one. You got to look in the mirror, I feel, for those, because you can't get bogged down.
You can't. You've got to just kind of like put your brain onto a second kind of mode to. But there was nobody as. Everyone's very sexy in The Bear, and nobody was very sexy in the Callander Fish restaurant.
Sexy in that kind of like ruggish way.
You know, you're like, oh, he's probably reading a book, a softback book, paperback book, folded over in one hand between shifts. And you're like,
Were you writing all through that for various bands before Churches?
Yeah, I think when I was doing the fish restaurant, I was playing drums in a band. So
getting your paradiddles in.
Yeah. Should have done a lot more practicing to a metronome, I feel. But yeah, so that was my first thing in a band, was playing drums. And then in the band before Churches, I played drums and kind of got accidentally promoted to keyboards. And that's when I met Ian from Churches, and he was like, keyboard singer girl, should come over here.
That's a nice story in the doc, in the iPlayer doc, where it's your friend saying, I knew you were a good singer, I heard you doing backups.
Paul's come off very well from this. I've gotten so many texts from people being like, I watched it and my mum just loves Paul. I think Paul is now just, he could pick up any of the mums very easily if should he desire.
Good friend.
Yeah. And it's so awkward. I was like, I don't want to ask anybody to do it because it'll be so uncomfortable. So I sent a very like, kind of, no pressure, please don't feel like you need to, text to him and my friend Amanda. And then they both did it, which is very kind of them.
That's very kind.
But then I have to stand near people saying nice things about me and I want to spontaneously combust. So.
And Amanda, who does TYCI,
yes,
Tuck Your In.
Yes.
Which they didn't say in the doc.
They did not, because it's the BBC.
Great
so
name.
But yeah, she was like one of the main people that ran it with me back in the day. And it's nice that we're still pals now.
Yeah, that's
So
awesome.
Both of them have been so kind and supportive of me, and definitely like sometimes I'm like, I would really love to see me the way that they see me. Like they see a lot of like I don't know, resilience or not even talent, I don't know what, but in me. And I do think especially Amanda and TYCI, like the formative time of CHVRCHES was quite intense and quite isolating.
You've said in a few interviews how you couldn't necessarily be in the moment to enjoy it because you were so worried about getting everything right.
Yeah, I think so. And just not letting people down, I think. Just I was very conscious of the fact that all of us were out of our depth, but I felt like I was extra out of my depths because I was a bit younger, and those guys are both have both trained musicians who went to university to do music, and I don't have any understanding of it, and not I don't understand it, but in that way. And I just felt a bit like I was constantly out of my depth the whole time is what it felt like. And a lot of the time I was the only woman in those environments. I was like a young woman, mostly around older men, and I think coming home and having friends that like knew me and understood me, and especially female friends that were part of like a female women's collective, like it was I think I would have I don't know if I would have been able to hack it if I hadn't had that, probably.
Having a strong support group, whether that's friends or family or strangers on a online forum or wherever. And
I think as much as our band's always involved in conversations about negativity on the internet, there has been so much positive that's come out of that in terms of finding your people and finding people that like what you're doing, and just that's been really invaluable.
Yeah,
and
we
couldn't have done it without the internet. So
yeah, it's an experience, and you say about how in CHVRCHES you felt maybe, you didn't say this, but you felt maybe like underqualified or underconfident. I imagine the three of you, the journey that you've had since those early days, nothing could have prepared you for it.
Well, and I do think it being 10 years since the first album, and the three of us in the band having conversations about that, it was interesting to me to learn how overwhelmed they both felt also, because to me it seemed like I had paid for tickets to see bands that they had used to be in. I'd seen them at festivals, and so I just assumed that they knew what they were doing, but only then, like years later, where they were like, no, our experience level was surpassed very quickly, and then none of us knew what we were doing, but we weren't communicating that to each other. We were all just kind of posturing that everything was fine. We knew what we were doing. So, whoops.
And when you look back on those years and you're like, okay, well, we're looking like we know what we're doing. What was key to that kind of keeping the show on the tracks, keeping on the rails? Was it having the people around you, like managers or booking agents, giving you good advice? Looking back at that time, how do you think you were able to stay on the straight and narrow?
I think we were very lucky that the people around us were very grounded and focused, and we've all talked about there's things we wish we'd done differently at certain points, but ultimately I do think we were very lucky that it's just kind of a happy accident, a lot of it, like who you end up working with and where you end up, like the labels that we were on at the time, I'm like, those were the right decisions for us in that moment. And I don't know, I think as much as I was very overly concerned about a lot of things, I was very conscious of we can only establish this once. So if you say, there's a lot of opportunities that we turned down that I think really annoyed everybody else, because I was like, no, because if we do that, then it looks like that. I remember being adamant I did not want to go on Sunday brunch, and everybody was really upset about it. But I don't know, and I guess I was younger, and to me as a 24-year-old, going on Sunday brunch felt the most embarrassing thing. I can't dance around in the living room. Don't make me do that. Oh God. I used to run DIY shows, and then now I don't think I would be as upset about. You're like, oh, that's what TV is. But at that time, I had no understanding of what that was. And I didn't want to be made to dance around near a kettle. I don't know. I was really disturbed by it. And I think that the label at the time were like, what? This is like one of the only things that they can do. And I was like, it's not cool to be on Sunday brunch. And I think that some of that is like being young and, it's all very high fidelity and stuff. But I do think, had we done all the opportunities that were being presented to us, I don't know that the ethos of the band and the community around it would have been the same as it was able to become.
So that's it from all of us at 101 Part-Time Jobs in 2024. Thank you for being here, and we'll continue next week. On New Year's Day, we got an episode with Chuck Reagan from Hot Water Music, and And continuing on throughout the first month or so, we've got Lambrini Girls, Big Pig, Stuart Braithwaite from Mogwai, and loads more to come. So make sure you click subscribe wherever you're listening to this, on Spotify, Apple, and if you're able to leave 5 stars as a review, that would be massively appreciated. See you next week in the new year.
101 Part-Time Jobs is hosted by Giles Bidder and produced by me, Olivia Swash. This has been a Mighty Moon Media production.